Happy Monday, everybody. Today we celebrate the birthday of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and I just want to welcome you all back to the All About Favor channel. I am your host, Pastor KZ. Today I want to talk about something that's very important, and when you start to think about it, you'll see where I'm going with this today. You know, we were all created in the image of the Most High. And by that, a lot of accountability comes with that. And your identity is tied to who you are. So the question is, do you know who you are really? And do you walk like you know who you are? On this t-shirt you see, I have Dr. King represented, Nelson Mandela represented here. And those men was clear on who they were. They were clear on their identity, and they knew exactly what their purpose was. So today, I want to ask you, do you really know who you are? And is your identity tied to that? Meaning your character traits, your integrity, your responsibility. Do you take seriously where you come from? The family that you were born in. Your DNA, it matters, y'all. Another thing we got to always remember, you have the DNA of the Creator. And the Creator said everything that He created was good and very good. But sometimes along the way and along the roads in life, sometimes people have a tendency to forget that. Sometimes people forget who they belong to. You ever heard your family members tell you as a child, you represent me? That's what your mom and daddy would tell you, or your grandparents would tell you. Your name means something, and you're not going to be doing anything and everything out there in the streets. You're going to conduct yourself in a manner that will make us proud, and you're going to conduct yourself with dignity, with class. When you give your word is your bond. Your word means something. So every character trait that you depict, it is tied to your identity. Now, let me say this. You don't just get out in the street, as my grandmama used to say, you don't go out there and just act a fool and think there's no repercussions or consequences to your behavior when you get home. And a lot of times in society today, that has been forgotten. You have people acting all type of way, cutting up all type of way, as if they done forgot who they really represent. This day, Dr. King's Day, is very important because a lot of the youth of today, they have no knowledge of that. You know, when I was about 3 years old, I think, when Dr. King was assassinated. So maybe 2 years old. So a lot of things I may not be familiar with in that era, but through much study, I had a whole lot of opportunities to learn. And so what I'm talking about today is you've got to always realize that no matter what comes against you, who comes against you, what you deal with in life, you got to understand that you were born to be great. You were born with something deep down inside of you. You have the favor in you, and people can't take that away. They can mash you down. They can talk about you. They can discourage you, but you got to have that DNA within you needs to kick in and remind you who you are and where you came from. Always know that no weapon that has been formed against you, it ain't gonna work. When you begin to speak things into your life, speak things over your life, and you refuse to quit, you refuse to give up, that is when you reject words that is spoken against you. You begin to reject statements that say you can't, that says things are impossible, that it'll never happen. Your time is up. It's too late. Your time is too short. There's so many things that we as a people got to start rejecting. And not just as a people, but we as a people in humanity and people who were created by someone who was greater than us. Sometime life gets you down. Sometime when people begin to mash on you all your life, when you always feel like you have been the underdog, you had to fight and scratch and struggle for everything you get in life, that is the time when you start to reflect and remember who you are and where you came from. And you've got to just take hold the days that you feel lost, the days you feel like quitting, the days you feel like giving up, the days you have been rejected, the days that you have received the final notice, the days you go to the bank and they tell you no. You've got to understand every no is just an opportunity for a yes. You can't quit. You can't give up. If Dr. King had given up and stopped, if Nelson Mandela had given up and stopped, y'all, where would this as we know it ethnicity be? Where would we be here in America if Dr. King and all of those people that fought the civil rights movement, fought against oppression, where would we be as a people? See, you all have forgotten, and you've got to go back and remember who you are. Your mindset has to be open to possibilities. When they tell you no, every time they close a door, you've got to be willing to say, I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep striving. I'm going to keep pushing. Navigate in different worlds, and this is a different world now from what it used to be. Things have changed, times have changed, y'all. It's not that we never had greatness in us, but sometimes you forget the greatness in you. Sometimes when you are always an oppressed people, you forget, you get discouraged sometimes. But today's show is all about refusing to receive negative reports, refusing to give up hope. There is hope, y'all. You've got to always remember that you are the head and not the tail. And you've got to understand this new year that we just started, you've got to recognize who you are and understand anything that you desire to do. Nothing is going to stop you unless you stop yourself. You've got to get out there and try. You got to start stepping out on faith more. Even when it comes to your healing, you have got to step out on faith, and you've got to decide, this is the year I'm going to get off some of this medication. This is the year that I'm going to get healthy. This is the year that I am going to work on my emotional well-being. You all remember who you are. Remember things that were rooted and planted in you as a child by your ancestors, by your parents, by your grandparents, your aunties, the village that I talked about. You've got to remember who you are and remember who you belong to. Never give up hope. Don't let anybody dim your light. Just because somebody says you're nothing, that don't mean you got to receive it. Just because someone says you're going to be just like your no good daddy, you don't have to receive that, young man. You were born to do something with your life. And I'm encouraging everybody today, from the youngest to the oldest that watch this channel, we were created with greatness. We are somebody. Our DNA says that we're somebody. We are people who love people. We are people who forgive. We are people who have gifts. We are people with the anointed power that we can go in and just 2 or 3 of us get together and start praying, and y'all, we can shake some things loose. So I'm encouraging you today on this Dr. MLK Celebration Day. Remind yourself and reflect who you are and all of the things that he fought. It would not be things going on today had it not been for our pioneers. We stand on the shoulders of Dr. King, and to the King's children that remain, Dr. Bernice King. And I just want to say this and shout Dr. Bernice King out. I met her years ago, and we talked and we laughed and we formed a sisterhood. So on today, Bernice, and I call her Bernie, I recognize your dad. So everybody who's watching today, please reflect and remind yourself of who you are as we celebrate Dr. King's holiday. And let me say this, and I'm going to flip it just for a moment. You know, I've heard people call it, quote unquote, Coon Day and all of these other things. Y'all act like you don't hear that. You don't have to address that. Every time you hear somebody saying something negative, you don't have to respond to it. And that's with anything in life. Everything someone says about you or to you, it does not require a response, because all it does is it shows that person's ignorance. So don't fall into those traps. Have a wonderful day today. Comment on the video, like the video, and share the video with others. And do not miss this week's shows. I'm going to be more on a positive tip this week, and I just want to keep y'all encouraged, because I want to bring this year in for where you get into a place where you got to start looking at your life and start looking at betterment for you, how to move yourself and navigate yourself to be a better version of yourself. And also, and that means, I'm telling you, sometimes you got to let some people go. Sometimes you got to let some old habits that you have go. You have got to walk in victory, not defeat, because you are the head and not the tail, above and not beneath. Y'all, love on yourself and remember who you are and who you belong to. And don't forget, go over to my YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button. It's free, y'all. And hit the notification bell. You'll be notified when the videos come out. Now, I don't know when the notifications go out, so go ahead, subscribe, like, comment, and share the video. Always stay focused. Get yourself focused. That's very important. Find some balance and always prioritize your peace of mind. Don't let nothing disturb and disrupt your peace. Y'all have a wonderful day. I'll see you tomorrow.